All right, so you're ready to take a deep dive into Sebastian Coe. You probably know him as that Olympic legend, right? But I bet you didn't know that there's actually a lot more to him than those medals, especially if you're someone who loves to learn new things and make those unexpected connections, kind of like our learner persona.
That's spot on. Coe's story, it goes way beyond the gold medals. We're talking ambition, resilience, and how those actually translate across different fields, even fields you might not think of right away.
Exactly. And to really get this journey, we have to start back in Sheffield, South Yorkshire, where it all began. And you know what's interesting? He wasn't born into some track and field dynasty. No silver spoon for young Sebastian.
Well, you know what is fascinating is how involved his father was. Peter Coe, he wasn't just dad, he was coach too. He was super involved in shaping his training right from the beginning. Imagine the discipline that must have taken for both of them.
Yeah, definitely sensing a theme here. And look, it clearly worked. I mean, 3 world records in 41 days. That's just, like, unbelievable.
It was the late 70s, and think about this. It was peak co-vet rivalry. The whole UK was absolutely hooked. The pressure was enormous, right? But Coe, he didn't just handle it, he thrived on it. And there's this one story, it really captures this, the 800-meter final at the Moscow Olympics.
Oh, yeah, the one where Ovett was favored to win.
Exactly. Everyone and their mother thought Ovett would win, but Coe had this plan. He kind of let Ovett set the pace, stayed right behind him, conserved his energy, and then in that final 200 meters, boom, this incredible burst of speed
Yeah.
took the gold. And what's so amazing is it wasn't just physical, right? It was mental toughness, too, that ability to think strategically, even under immense pressure. That's something we can all learn from.
Oh, absolutely. That's a perfect example of how that co-discipline really paid off, you know? It wasn't just showing up and training hard, it was having a plan, sticking to it, even when everything was on the line.
And that disciplined approach, well, that wasn't just for his running career. It went into everything he did, even, get this, politics.
Wait, politics? That's kind of a curveball, isn't it? I mean, how do you go from, like, Olympic gold to being a politician, a member of parliament?
Well, Coe, he wasn't the type to just sit back and relax after all that. He had this drive, ambition that went beyond the track. So in 1992, he was elected as a conservative MP. And this wasn't just some, celebrity thing. He actually got into policy, especially stuff about sports and education.
So it was more than just riding that fame wave. He actually wanted to, like, make a difference in a totally different world.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because his background as an athlete, it actually gave him a unique view in Parliament. He got teamwork, he knew about discipline, setting goals, all these qualities that are important in politics too, just like in sports.
Okay, that makes sense. So we got this incredibly disciplined athlete who becomes a politician, but wait, hold on, there's more, right? Now we get to the London 2012 Olympics.
This is where his leadership skills really took center stage. He was crucial in getting the bid for London. And then, get this, he chaired the organizing committee for the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the scale of that, the pressure, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, those Olympics were incredible. London really nailed it.
And Coe, he was right at the heart of it. He was showing that same strategic thinking, the same determination he had as a runner, but on a global scale this time, bringing people together, managing all these expectations. And in the end, delivering this truly memorable event. It went beyond just sports. It was about showing off his country to the whole world.
So we've gone from athlete to politician, and now he's like an Olympic mastermind. What can't this guy do?
Well, his story keeps going. He actually became the president of World Athletics, so his commitment to the sport just keeps growing, but in a leadership role now.
It's like he took everything he knew, the athletics, the politics, the whole event management thing, and put it all into shaping the future of, well, the sport that he loves.
And, I think that's one of the biggest takeaways for anyone listening. Coe's journey, it's not just about athletic success. It's about how skills can be applied in different areas. He's living proof that the discipline, the strategy, even that resilience that you build in one area, it can be used for anything you set your mind to.
Wow, that is seriously inspiring. It's like he cracked the code to success, like in any field. But I'm kind of curious, how did he make those transitions? I mean, did he just wake up one day and decide to be a politician? What about, like, the learning curve? How did he adapt so well to all these new roles?
That's a great question. And it's something that, we're going to explore more as we go deeper into Coe's story. But for now, let's just think about this. He didn't let his expertise in one area limit him, right? He was always looking for new challenges, new things to learn and grow from. And I think that's something we can all take to heart. So you're curious about how Coe actually made those big changes.
Yeah.
Going from a track star to Parliament, even the Olympics. It wasn't just, willpower or anything. There was some real strategy to those transitions.
Yeah, it's easy to just say, oh, he was disciplined, so of course he succeeded, but that doesn't really tell us how he did it, right? Like, did he take some crash courses on politics or something? Did he have these, like, mentors helping him navigate these new worlds?
Well, that's what makes his story so interesting. For example, even back when he was an athlete, Coe was really interested in policy stuff. He wasn't just, like, training in a bubble.
Really?
Yeah, he was studying economics and social history at Loughborough University, no less.
Orbro, that's known for its sports programs, right? So maybe it wasn't such a random choice after all. Combining athletic excellence with, like, academics, that's pretty impressive.
I think it shows how much he wanted to learn. And it wasn't just about the track. And get this, later on, he actually became chancellor of Loughborough University. Talk about a full circle moment, right?
Wow, that's cool.
But going back to politics, he didn't just, win that seat and then coast. He was conservative MP, really focusing on things like sports policy and how to help young people develop, areas where his experience, it really gave him an advantage.
Okay, so he was using what he learned from athletics to help shape his work in politics. That's pretty smart. I mean, to use your experience like that, even if it doesn't seem connected at first.
Exactly. And, this ability to link things that seem totally different, that's a big part of understanding how Coe became so successful. Like, take the London 2012 Olympics. He wasn't just some, symbolic guy. He was really in the thick of it.
Yeah, organizing an event that huge, that must have been like learning a whole new sport in itself.
Think of it as, like, the ultimate test of his transferable skills, all that discipline from training, performing under pressure, how he learned to think strategically as an athlete, that all came into play when he led the organizing committee.
I mean, that's a lot. Negotiating, managing a huge team, probably having to solve problems left and right, all while the world is watching.
Right. And he absolutely nailed it. It's like he went from winning medals to, like, orchestrating this massive global show.
And the recognition kept coming, right?
Oh, yeah. He got inducted into the IAAF Hall of Fame that same year, then became Baron Coe of Ranmore not long after. But titles aside, what's really cool is how he keeps using his position to be a voice for sports, inspiring those young athletes, promoting hard work and fair play.
It's like he's living and breathing that Olympic spirit, not just in competitions, but like in life too. Always pushing for something bigger, something that helps everyone, not just himself.
And that brings us to his election as president of World Athletics in 2015. This wasn't just some honorary thing. He was dealing with some serious issues, things like doping scandals, modernizing the sport, making sure it stayed relevant in a world that's constantly changing. It wasn't just about keeping things the same. It was about leading, taking action.
Wow, so even after all that, he's still like pushing boundaries and going after new challenges. That's a real growth mindset.
Absolutely. And it's something we can all learn from. It doesn't matter what field you're in. There's always room to grow, to learn something new, to step outside your comfort zone.
It's true. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going for Olympic gold or running like global organizations. So how do we actually use these, what do we call them? Coisms. How do we use them in our own lives?
That's the big question, isn't it? And that's something we'll get into in the last part of our deep dive. But for now, maybe think about this. What's your Olympic dream, that thing you're really working towards? How can Coe's story help you tackle it? Maybe with more discipline, strategic thinking, that belief in yourself, that you really can do it.
All right, so we followed Sebastian Coe's journey, from those early days in Sheffield all the way to the top of the world of sports. It's an amazing story, right? But the question now is, how do we take those Coisms you talked about, the discipline, the strategic thinking, the ambition, and actually make them work in our own lives?
That's where things get exciting. It's easy to be impressed by all the things Coe did, but what's really powerful is figuring out what we can learn from him. There are some really important lessons in there, and it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're trying to move up at work, start a creative project, or just, improve your life overall.
Right, because most people aren't going to be Olympic champions or lead global organizations. But we can all, benefit from understanding how Coe tackled challenges and, became so successful.
Exactly. First of all, I think Coe's story shows how important it is to have a long-term vision. He wasn't just thinking about winning the next race. He had this big ambition, a clear idea of where he wanted to be, even if it wasn't always clear how to get there.
So it's about having that, big, ambitious goal, that North Star that kind of guides you in everything you do.
Exactly. And a lot of people miss that, especially these days when there's so much going on, so many distractions. Coe shows us how having that long-term vision, that clear sense of what you want to do, that can be what keeps you going, keeps you motivated, even when things get tough.
So thinking about how we can use this, it's about taking the time to really figure out what we want to achieve, create that picture of what success looks like for us personally or professionally.
Definitely. And once you've got that vision, it's about breaking it down into smaller pieces, steps you can actually take. Coe didn't go from, running in Sheffield to leading the Olympics just like that. He set those milestones, took on those challenges one by one, and each success became like a stepping stone to something even bigger.
It's like that saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Big goals can be overwhelming, but if you break them down, they become much less scary.
That's where that Coe level discipline comes in. It's about showing up every day, putting in the effort, even when you really don't want to. Think about those 3 world records in 41 days. That wasn't just because he was talented. It was about working hard day after day, sticking to the plan, and, pushing through when he was tired or maybe even doubting himself.
So discipline isn't about being like a robot or never having any fun. It's about being committed to your vision, to those things you do every day that get you closer to your goal.
And being flexible, too. Remember, Coe went from athletics to politics, and then to leading the whole world of athletics. He didn't let what he was good at define him.
Right.
He was always learning new things, trying to get new knowledge, and being able to adjust to new situations.
And that's so important, especially now when things are always changing. Just being good at one thing isn't enough anymore. You have to be a lifelong learner, always open to learning new skills and taking on new challenges, right?
Yeah, and this brings us back to those transferable skills we talked about.
Yeah.
What Coe did shows us that the skills you develop, whether it's communication, problem solving, leadership, whatever, they can be used in tons of other areas. It's about recognizing that those skills have value and then finding ways to use them, maybe in creative ways.
So like he had this toolbox full of skills that he built up over time, and he could use the right tool for the situation, whatever it was.
That's a great way to put it. And that's something we can all do. Think about the skills you've developed in your own life, through your job, your hobbies, just life experiences. How can you apply those to new situations? How can you use what you know to take on new challenges?
So it's about being resourceful, seeing connections between things that might seem totally different, and not being afraid to try something new, even if it's a little uncomfortable.
Exactly. And last but not least, I think Coe's story really highlights how important it is to believe in yourself,
Yeah.
to really believe you can do amazing things, even if other people doubt you. Remember, he wasn't always the favorite to win, but he never let that shake his belief in himself.
It's true. That self-belief is what makes everything else possible. You can have discipline and work hard, but without believing in yourself, you won't get very far.
And it's not about being arrogant or thinking you're better than everyone else. It's about having that quiet confidence, knowing that you have the potential to succeed, and then backing that up with action, actually doing something about it.
So as we finish up this deep dive, I think the big takeaway is that Sebastian Coe's story, it's not just about being a great athlete. It's really a roadmap for how to succeed in anything you do. It's about having a clear vision, breaking it down into steps, being disciplined, being flexible, and never forgetting what you're capable of.
And don't forget, Coe's story is just one example. There are so many other people out there who have overcome obstacles, done incredible things, and made a real impact on the world. So find those stories that speak to you, the role models who inspire you, and let their journeys help you on your own path to being your best.
That's a great way to put it. So go out there, take on those challenges, and create a life that's, worthy of its own deep dive. And we'll be here to explore those stories and figure out what we can learn from them to help us all keep growing and getting better.